If your friends jumped off a bridge, would you do it too? I think we all must have had the same mother. You know, there's a lesson that we teach our children when they're young about peer pressure. Isn't there? The one that's so important because when we get into crowds, we humans tend to do dumb things. And we want to teach our children to think for themselves. And I don't know why it's jumping off a bridge that is the archetypical example. In fact, as someone who's jumped off a bridge before and enjoyed it immensely, because there's a swimming hole underneath. Some bridges are better for jumping off of than others. But there are some things that we decidedly should opt against. Still, as people, we are tempted, aren't we? To do the things that everyone else would have us do, whether right or not, whether wise or not. And this morning, in the psalm, we find a reflection on that wisdom, on that following God's call. Happy are those who follow God's call, who heed God's wisdom. And it would be so nice if I could just say, so let's do that, amen, and sit down. In fact, you would probably all be happy too, because it would mean that we would definitely beat the Methodists in getting to the diner. But it's not that easy, is it? There are always these wrinkles. And we find this particularly throughout Scripture as it echoes in our lives. It's not an ancient story that has no relevance. We go back to the beginning, to Adam and Eve in the garden, to that serpent who tempted Eve. And Eve's response saying, no, God said we can't eat of this fruit because if we do, we'll surely die. Yeah, you probably shouldn't lie about your reasons for not doing something. Because that was the victory that the serpent needed. Surely you won't die. Surely your eyes will be opened and you'll know the difference between good and evil and you'll be just like God. Yeah, that needling kind of temptation. If you do this, then you'll be just like God. If. Give it a shot. If. We find in the gospel reading the same thing happened. As Jesus, who's just come from the waters of baptism, goes out into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. Parenthetically, 40 is not an actual number. It's biblical shorthand for a good long time. It's the same 40 that we find with the Hebrews wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. It's the same 40 that we find with the waters of Noah's flood being for 40 days. But in this period of 40 days, which, by the way, just in case you're curious, we count that as 40, and that's not 40 either, just to make your calendar extra fun. But during this time of temptation in the wilderness, when the tempter appeared to Jesus, he offered him some more of that if. If you're the Son of God, then turn these stones into bread. You know, if he had just said, you're hungry, turn these stones into bread, that might have been easier. Easier to say no to. I don't need to do this, Jesus might have said. It's really not that important. Because I'm fasting, I'm praying. It's not necessary to feed the body. But you know, once that if came in, if you're the Son of God, I imagine Jesus having a moment where he started thinking, well, I was a little bit hungry and probably could have done with some bread, but man, This guy doesn't even think I'm the Son of God, and I got to prove it. That's how the temptation starts, isn't it? When we start thinking that we've got to do something to satisfy somebody else. But Jesus reflected. The Scripture doesn't tell us that any time passed, that any thought really took place, but we know that Jesus had to pause and reflect before giving an answer. It is written that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. Ooh, good answer, Jesus. But then the tempter tried again. If. 3 times. If you're the Son of God. If you're the Son of God, toss yourself down from the top of the temple. Because you know that passage that everybody loves so much about, he'll bear you up on eagle's wings. So hop off. Let's see if it happens. If you're the Son of God, you'll be fine. I can almost imagine Jesus thinking that he's right. But then thinking better of it. No. I don't need to prove to you that I'm the Son of God. Stop it. It's written not to put the Lord your God to the test. And so a third time. If you're the Son of God, if you will worship me, I'll give you all this that you see. The if changed, didn't it? Instead of the if that was asking Jesus to prove who he was, it became the if of subservience. If you will bow down to me, I will give you all the nations of the world. You can be in charge. If. You ever find any ifs in your life? Those things that make you think that perhaps you should give that a shot? That maybe this is the way to go? I know that there are a bunch of them in our society today. But you know, this week, there are a lot of big ifs. Ifs that are rooted in our fears, in our concerns. As we shared the peace of Christ a little bit ago, I noted some people giving great big hugs. I noted some people shaking hands, a couple people shaking hands. I noticed a couple people giving tentative fist bumps, a few with the elbows, and a couple, hi. We're worried, aren't we? This coronavirus, this COVID-19 has us, as a society, pretty terrified, pretty worried. And we're not sure how to handle it. And so we have all of these ifs floating around. If only you go out and buy every single face mask that's available in Danbury, you'll be fine. No. If only you do everything perfectly normally, just like you always do, this is nothing you need to worry about. But we're tempted both directions, aren't we? Pretend it doesn't exist, panic. Right? Those are the two options. You'd think it was if you listened to the media. You'd think it was just that binary option. If only you listened to people who are pushing an agenda. And even when we listen to the information coming to us from the federal government, we find the White House telling us one thing and the CDC telling us another. Gee, that's helpful. But you know, there are things that we can do that don't put us into that binary, that don't make us worry about that if. That if that says that we have to fear one another. That if that says that we can just carry on with business as usual. A lot of common sense kind of things. Washing your hands, well, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. You know, give it a good wash. Sing through. Or as Jane posted, sing it twice. Make sure that you're taking proper care of things. Be like John, that when you sneeze, thank you, I appreciate that. Peace of Christ be with you too. That if you're here, you're feeling well, you're probably fine. But if you're not, stay home. These basic things that we all know. But there are other temptations we face too. It's not just that temptation to panic, that temptation to try and hoard surgical masks. We have those temptations to always look out for ourselves, to take care of those who are nearest to us at the expense of others. It's human nature. It's not right. But we're called to always, as Christians, care for our common good. Care for ourselves and our families, but also our community and our world. To care for those who are the least among us, who are the most vulnerable. This is what we do as people of faith. We hear these ifs that the world throws at us, that the tempter lobs at us, yes, with that finger, and we realize that there's another way. So at the beginning of the sermon, we established that we all had the same mother. I expect that we probably all also had the same English teacher. Probably. The one who made you memorize poetry when you were a kid. And some of those poems that we learned were absolute gems that live with us and make us feel differently about the world. And, well, then there were some of the other ones. I have to admit that, personally, my preference in poetry is the poetry that gets set to music. Anything you can sing, I'm good with. Some of it, though, doesn't always do so well. But do you remember Kipling? Do you like Kipling? Have any of you ever kippled? No, Kipling had written the poem If. Long time ago, back during the Victorian era. It's a poem that's words from a parent to a child, in this case a father to a son, but the truth goes beyond gender of any person. And it's maybe something that we need to heed today. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired of waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream, and not make dreams your master, if you can think, and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop to build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings, and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose, and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will that says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Kipling gave this advice to the next generation. Advice that instead of being a tempter's if, is a supporter's if. The if of a life well lived of temptation faced. The if that goes along with the then. If you do this well, then you will have reached your goal. The inheriting of the earth that the tempter offered Jesus if only he would bow down is the goal that Kipling shares. Yours the earth and everything in it, if you do the right thing. May we then, as faithful people, find that the if that we live in is not the if of temptation, but the if of promise and the if of hope. And in all of that, may we be strong and wise and blessed. Amen.